Today I compiled 10 of my album reviews of the Rolling Stone 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list. Today I listened to album 240, Sam Cooke's 95 album live at the Harlem Square Club in 1963. It's Sam Cooke at the height of his fame. Just before it appears he was shot after an attempted rape. The circumstances around his death will never be completely clear, but on this live record, which RCA refused to release for 20 years because of his gritty realness, Cooke seems more alive than ever. He rattles off many of his most famous hits, including Chain Gang, Cupid, and part of his cover of I Love You for Sentimental Reasons, what feels like a cramped club with an enraptured, enthusiastic audience, almost drowning out Cooke. At times, Cooke was guilty of choosing to sing anodyne, inoffensive love songs, but in this claustrophobic environment, where you can almost smell the sweat, blood, and tears, his songs suddenly seem a lot less innocuous. I will admit this record is front-loaded in terms of quality, and some of the love songs start to blur together a bit. This record is a party, and we're all invited. 4 out of 5. Today I listened to album 239, Boogie Down Productions' 1987 album Criminal Minded. Criminal Minded was pioneering in so many ways. It's likely the birthplace of gangster rap, with his guns on the album cover and glorification of crime on tracks like 9mm Goes Bang. In other ways though, it sounds decidedly retro. On lead single South Bronx, they feud with MC Shan and Marley Marl about which New York neighborhood hip-hop started in. But honestly, who cares about that anymore? The DJ, Scott LaRock, is also a major presence on this record in a way I can't imagine these days. He's practically every other word that comes out of the mouths of rappers KRS-One,
not 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6,
and D-Nice. Scott LaRock's production is pretty decent though, featuring not just funk samples, but also reggae and hard rock influences, like the riff to Back in Black featuring prominently on Dope Beat. So you wonder why I'm not just listening to Black in Black, but that's from later on this list. Until then, I'll keep it a good fight
against Suck MC.
2.7 out of 5. Today I listened to album 238, Kraftwerk's 1977 album Trans Europe Express. Kraftwerk is a perfect embodiment of German culture and pop music. They are precise and mechanical, emotionless, and they love public transport. Those are technological pioneers, almost inventing electronic music on their first couple of albums and directly leading to disco, electronic, and EDM. The music may be repetitive, but reassuring in its inerrancy and surprisingly catchy. Thematically, they draw on themes of European unification, especially through infrastructure like the Trans-Europe Express, which makes sense because Kraftwerk came from a country unnaturally split in two. The other major theme is artificiality, like in Showroom Dummies, where Kraftwerk compared themselves to mannequins trapped by expectations of the public until they are liberated by music. The instrumentals are simple, the lyrics almost non-existent, but there is so much depth here. Truly more than the sum of its parts. 4 out of 5. Today I listened to album 237, Willie Nelson's 1985 album Red-Headed Stranger. Should I just stop reviewing albums from genres I don't care about? It's unlikely I'm ever going to like country. There's no shortage of it in a ranking for an American music publication. In theory, Willie Nelson should be easier to warm to. He's an outlaw, a weed-smoking rebel, unafraid of the country music establishment. Indeed, the production of this album is fairly minimal. There are no guests to distract from Nelson's overall vision. Fortunately, the vision is still firmly rooted in country, filled with strange men wandering in from out of town with unachievable romance and tortuous betrayal. My favourite song is the one which breaks up the flow of the record, namely Nelson's cover of the instrumental Down Yonder. By Nelson, I mean Willie Nelson's sister Bobby. Yes, my favourite Nelson on this record isn't Willie. That says it all. 2.7 out of 5. Today I listened to album 236, Daft Punk's 2001 album Discovery. Daft Punk are probably the most popular and successful and downright meritable electronic act ever, and the second album starts strong. One More Time is one of Daft Punk's signature songs, endlessly repetitive but still absolutely captivating. Digital Love is an almost toxically saccharine love song with an amazing guitar solo played entirely on electric piano, and Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is a catchy motivational song perfect for the gym and was memorably sampled by Kanye West. The second album is undoubtedly weak. You can just tell by the number of songs which have their own Wikipedia page. I'm sure tracks like Short Circuit are beloved by hardcore Daft Punk fans, but to me it just sounds like a dying robot being thrown off the cliff. This album was 4 songs long, probably be the greatest of all time, but as it stands it's down a bit below an hour-long runtime. 3.5 out of 5. Today I listened to album 235, Metallica's 1991 self-titled album. Metallica were never big enough after releasing this, their 5th album, probably never goofier either. Metallica have always been an appalling lyricist, and James Hetfield has always been a limited singer, but by slowing their signature, super speedy thrash metal sound down, the cracks in their musicality really start to show. Like why does Hetfield pronounce Sad But True like Sepultura, and why did they write the anti-establishment song Don't Tread On Me? On previous records, these quirks could be easily ignored by listening to repulsive rhythms and hypnotic guitar solos. Still plenty of that on this record, of course, like on the vivacious close of The Struggle Within. But this time the band wanted to show a sensitive side, so they included the acoustic power ballads The Unforgiving and Nothing Else Matters. Saying that, the Black Album will always be Metallica's peak. The only point where they managed to be both mainstream popular and critically accepted. 2.9 out of 5. Today I listened to album 234, Black Sabbath's 1981 album Master of Reality. Nice, back-to-back metal albums. Black Sabbath's first album invented heavy metal, but the third record sees more experimentation. The sound is fuller, more operatic, and somehow the instrumental sounds like it has more room to breathe. The first two songs invent two new subgenres of metal, namely stoner metal and Christian metal, and the fourth track, the only single released from this album, is both creepy and catchy. Black Sabbath's purpose realized. Short instrumentals are sprinkled in to keep the record feeling fresh, but I do feel this drag a little in the second half. Though Ozzy Osbourne's singing is great, Geezer Butler's lyrics are still rubbish, setting another precedent in metal. Black Sabbath got off the rails a bit after this album. It only takes so many jerks before it starts to affect the music. The Master of Reality is Black Sabbath at most ambitious, and it really works. 4 out of 5. Today I listened to album 233, Tori Amos' 1989 album Little Earthquakes. Tori Amos stands in a long line of weird women who are a little left of the dial but made a profound impact on all who heard them. What makes a female musician a weird woman is that you can't really imagine a male version of them. Or the male version of someone like Laura Nyro or Kate Bush, both musical ancestors of Amos who are particularly channeled in Happy Phantom, even look like. The 19th would take it to our golden age of weird women, including Björk and Fiona Apple, but Amos stands out by combining a theatrical dramatism with a stormy piano rock style. Musically, Little Earthquake is all waves of powerful chords and Amos' emotional soprano, with the exception of the title track, which has some chugging guitar towards the ends, and a jazzy Happy Phantom. Common themes include feelings of alienation, breakups, and the unfair expectations society puts on women, but Amos' intensity can be overwhelming. This album hits its at 100 out of 10, but will seem overwrought and a little immature. 3.4 out of 5. Today I listened to album 232, John Coltrane's 1960 album Giant Steps. Does jazz even belong in this ranking? It's hard to imagine now. Jazz was once part of a counter-controlled youth culture in the roaring 20s. Even beyond that, derivative genres like swing and traditional jazz ruled the radio in the 40s and 50s before rock and roll arrived. By 1960 though, jazz had become a genre for critics and hardcore fans only, and John Coltrane's first Atlantic Records album really shows why. Musicality is really outstanding on this record. Coltrane's saxophone is mellifluous, Paul Chambers' bass is murmuring and reassuring, and Art Taylor's brushes coax a gentle rhythm out of the drums. In particular, there's a large dynamic range in the album, and when Coltrane isn't playing, it can be very quiet indeed. Personally, I find it hard to relate to Giant Steps. It's a challenging album, but people who like Coltrane love him. It's the reason he's venerated as a saint in the African Orthodox Church. 2.6 out of 5. Today I listened to album 231, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' 1979 album Damn the Torpedoes. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were an awkward space to 70s rock. They weren't exactly prog rock, glam rock, or punk, but there is some of that on this record. They're firmly classic rock, but not sellouts like Boston, Journey, or Foreigner. They had integrity and sometimes struggled to get on the radio. That changed with their third album, a mainstream breakthrough, which kept their signature Heartland sound but had enough hooks for the casual fans. For some reason I've struggled to get into it. Damn the Torpedo should really be in my wheelhouse. I love Petty's debut solo album and there's enough jangle on this record to satisfy anyone, so there must be something missing. Is it just Petty's voice? Petty's a good singer, I feel his voice is a little weak on Damn the Torpedoes. Maybe he doesn't quite have the vocal muscle to push this record across the finish line? That's my best guess. 3.2 out of 5. Join me soon for another album review. Like, share, comment and subscribe.